Unknown to the rest of the world, there's a violent turf war happening in Chile. To truly understand it, you have to go all the way back to the 1500s, to the start of the Arauco War, when colonial Spaniards began to try and take control of Araucanía, a region about 450 miles south of Santiago, then occupied by numerous indigenous peoples, including the Mapuche. It was a land battle that lasted for over 280 years, and in the end, the Chilean military succeeded in taking Araucanía.
And then the government, after occupying these places, they started to open up offices in Europe so they could bring settlers to this part of Chile. They would give away land. So these people from Germany, from Switzerland, came and they were given territory, free territory. All of this led to the situation that we have now.
This is Nicolas Rios, a Chilean journalist covering the Mapuche story who I met up with in Santiago. He told me that around 600,000 Mapuche still live in the forested region of Araucanía, alongside small landowners who are descendants of European settlers. But since the 1980s, commercial logging companies have also moved into the area, and today, forestry is Chile's second largest export, supplying wood to countries like Argentina, Japan, and the United States. However, in the process of growth, the industry has wiped away much of the native forest that the Mapuche call home.
On one hand, you have the Mapuches claiming or reclaiming the property of this land. And on the other hand, you have the relatives of those European settlers, all these people, claiming property of the land. So that's when the clashes start to happen.
Clashes that turned more violent after General Pinochet seceded power in 1990.
Before 1990, there was a very strong-hand dictatorship here in Chile. So nobody in the country was able to form an organization to fight for something.
It was clear after meeting Nicolas that if I was really going to understand what was going on, I had to travel to Araucanía. Even though this town's so small, I see an armored vehicle on every one of the corners around me. It turns out that state armored vehicles are actually pretty common around here. In the early 2000s, the Chilean government implemented a Pinochet-era anti-terrorist law, a move that's been criticized as an effort to strong-arm Mapuche into ceasing their protests. According to a UN report, the Chilean police were guilty of, quote, a systemic use of excessive force, with reputed accounts of brutality, raiding homes, and detaining Mapuche without charge.
Cuando reclamamos nuestros derechos, lo que los robaron a nosotros, ellos al tiro lo mandan a apresar a uno. Por eso lo oprimen a uno y lo único que quieren ver a todos los dirigentes presos, para que uno no siga alzando la voz reclamando sus derechos.
The Chilean government has in fact promised to buy back and transfer the land titles to the Mapuche. However, according to reports, these reparations have been offered piecemeal and are at an incredibly slow rate, which is why many have taken the law into their own hands.
Está lo que es el pueblo mapuche, nación mapuche, territorio mapuche, y nosotros, cueste lo que cueste, le decimos vamos a recuperar la tierra que ellos lo robaron nosotros.
In the nearby community of Chonquin, that's exactly what happened. Here, Mapuche have started building illegally in an attempt to lay claim to their ancestral land. But as we found out, this strategy can backfire. When we met this Mapuche woman, she told us how the police evicted her from land that she'd built on illegally.
Y aparte de eso, ese día que lo desalojaron a nosotros, me llevaron a mí y a una sobrina que está embarazada. Lo llevaron al retén de carabineros de Coyipulli. Y después nosotros tuvimos una semana y supimos que aquí un día sábado la quemaron la casa. Quemaron todo, no dejaron nada.
We just visited a house that was burnt down. It feels kind of like the Wild West out here. You get the sense that these kinds of land rights issues are really up to the people who have the most money. While in Chonquin, we couldn't ignore the fact that the Mapuche aren't the only victims in this conflict. Small landowners like Sonia Villalobos also live in fear. As a descendant of European settlers who's been here for generations, she is distressed that some Mapuche have threatened to take her land away.
Tengo miedo a esa gente. Usted no sabe cómo hemos sufrido acá. O sea, mi papá varias veces lo vinieron a amenazar. Él tiene 90 años, es un anciano. Y lo vinieron a amenazar acá, diciéndole que se saliera de acá, que se fuera, porque si no, sus animales, todas sus cosas.
It was an interesting experience spending a day with both a Chilean family as well as a Mapuche family, both who claim to have rights to the same piece of land. It's difficult to see how this conflict is going to be resolved, and ultimately it's just a microcosm for land rights issues between the Mapuche people and the government that have existed for the past few hundred years.
They're all victims. The settlers are victims. The Mapuches are victims. The small farmers are victims. They're all victims here because of what the state of Chile did 120 years ago. It's just a situation that has to be handled, that needs a solution. And I think that if it doesn't get a solution, things could escalate into a worse scenario than we have now.
Don't forget to subscribe for more Seeker stories. And be sure to check out this next episode, where I investigate the unexpected reason why wild pigs are being hunted in Hawaii in order to conserve coral reefs.